Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Read and Write with Natasha. I have with me today author Carla Vergot, who's a former special education teacher turned author. She's known for her engaging series Lily Barlow, which blends romance, comedy, and mystery. She began writing the series in 2016 during a sabbatical from teaching, and the experience was so transformative that she decided to pursue writing full time. Carla enjoys connecting with her readers through her active Facebook group, Carla Vergot's Back Porch, and her website, carlavergot.com. All right, Carla, so nice to meet you, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Natasha. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, of course. So, of course, the first question I'm going to ask is what made you quit teaching and go full time? I mean, many authors, first of all, do not have the courage to do that, and they think they cannot afford it. So, how did you pull the plug and decided to do this full time?
I'm going to give you a tiny bit of history. When I went to college and my degree was in language arts, writing, and editing. So
Okay.
from that point in my life, I was preparing to write a book. Uh, it,
Okay.
it took a very long time. There were a lot of left turns, and it was always on the back of my mind. I just couldn't make the time to do it. I probably had the time, I just didn't make the time to do it. When I put in for my sabbatical finally, and I will say special education, public education, teachers have all my respect because it is very hard to teach these days. I was at a low point in my career. I was feeling very kind of defeated, and I felt like this is probably a great time for me to take a break from teaching, make a decision about where I want to go in teaching, and while I'm taking a sabbatical, write the story. Um,
Okay.
we were in a position to do that. My husband uh, said that we could, manage on his paycheck.
Income.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of what we did. As soon as I put in the paperwork for the sabbatical, he was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh,
So
sorry to hear it.
the Lord works in very mysterious ways, and I needed to be on that sabbatical during his treatment. It was very dark in the beginning, and they gave him 3 to 6 months to live. It was determined to be an aggressive form of cancer. What happened to it is inexplicable. It was then determined to be a very treatable and curable form of lymphoma, and he's
Oh, wow.
cancer-free today.
Oh, wow.
But
Congrats. Yeah.
it was touch and go, and the sabbatical gave me the opportunity to be with him during his treatment, and because I had taken the sabbatical to write the book, I really threw myself into writing it more as an escape for myself while
Mm,
doing all this other stuff. So
yeah.
I tell people all the time, that's how the book became as funny as it is. It's
Yeah.
just, it became lighter and lighter and even silly, because I needed that. Everything in my world at that time was very dark.
Okay.
So he came through cancer. I finished the book, and I had enjoyed the experience of writing the book so much that I wanted to resign from teaching and continue writing. And I'll be honest with you, I couldn't have done it if I didn't have his paycheck supporting the household. I just there it's very difficult to earn a living as an author. It's incredibly it's an incredibly expensive thing to get into. I
Yeah.
think you probably know with podcasting, there's a lot of your own resources that go into it.
Yeah.
I do a lot of promotion on my end, um, just to expose people to the story. So I travel to bookstores for signings, but if they're out of town, that's the expense of travel, that's the hotel accommodations, it's meals out, all of that stuff adds up. Um, all of the subscriptions that you end up using, Podmatch,
Yeah.
like that's one
Yeah.
of the subscriptions that I use.
Yeah.
So, it's difficult to earn a living as a writer.
Yeah.
I and had that situation not presented itself, I probably wouldn't have stopped to write the first book, and, uh, our family's ability to, manage our expenses with one income allows me to continue writing. That's
Hmm.
I'm not selling at this point enough books to, pay a salary to me. because I'm still trying to pay back the money that I've sunk into
Yeah.
this passion
Yeah.
project. Eventually, I would love for that to be the case. I'd love to, earn even a modest living on as a writer, but we'll see. There's a lot of competition out there.
Hmm. So when you first started the book, did you have in mind it's gonna be a series, or did you start with like a standalone book?
I had in mind a very aggressive series because
Ah, okay.
I love Janet Ivanovich, who writes the Stephanie Plum
Oh,
series,
yeah.
and I
Yeah.
forget which number she's on, but it's in the 20s. And so I felt like, "Oh, I can," she's a great role model. I'll do that. I'll write a lot of books, and as it turns out, I'm not that good of a writer. So
I'm sure you are.
I'm 3 books in, I'm working on book 4 right now, and I'm thinking, "Am I ever gonna get to 20 in this series?" I don't know. I don't know if I will or not. My story is a little bit different than hers, and, I'm not sure it's designed for 20, um, a series of 20, but we'll see.
So how is your day like as a full-time author? Do you have a schedule? Do you write, as you go? I'm just
The
curious.
the bulk of my time is, in promoting the series. So, for instance, it's Thursday this week, and
Yeah.
spent a ton of time reaching out to bookstores, trying to coordinate signings for Independent Bookstore Day on April 26th.
Uh,
I have been invited to, sign books with Nora Roberts, um,
oh, wow.
yeah, at her bookstore in Boonesboro, Maryland on May 15th,
I'm
which
in Maryland.
are you in Maryland? Oh,
Mhm.
where are you?
In Rockville,
We're
Montgomery
not that far
County.
away. At
Where
least
where are you?
I'm in Haymarket, Virginia.
Ah,
We
okay,
should have
okay.
coffee sometime.
Definitely. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
her
Okay,
her bookstore is in Boonesboro, and it's lovely. It's a lovely bookstore, and twice a year or so, she has girls' night out, and
okay.
because she's so, loved by so many readers, people will travel from across the country to these events, and so
If
that
you can send me the invite, I'll try to come and
I would
support
love
you
to.
if I
That
can,
I will send
with
that
if
to
I
you. I'd be
okay,
happy.
alright, thank you.
But that to your question is, it takes a lot of time to reach out and set these things up and follow up. I'm one tiny little goldfish in a big ocean of writers, and so when I reach out to a Barnes& and Noble, you know how many books they stock on their shelves. It's thousands of writers, and so I'm
Yeah.
one, and, I have to do the work on my end to keep reaching out, and, "Oh, remember I talked to you last week, and can is there any time for me to do a signing? I'll be in your area." And so there's just a ton of time spent, working the back channels like that.
Mm,
The other promotion that I do, and I love this more, is, the time I spend on Facebook in my Facebook group, Carla
mm,
Vergot's Back Porch. I love the connections, the community that I've built is very supportive, very lovely, very happy. The world that we're in sometimes just gets to be super hectic and critical, but we don't bring any of that onto the back porch. It's just, happiness and love and an easygoing group of people who probably have very different opinions about things, but when we come together, we support each other, and so I spend a lot of time in that group and post about once a day. But then I follow up throughout the day if people make comments or reach out or send me notes. We have a writing competition going on right now. Um,
mm,
and it's a funny story. So every once in a while, I see a photograph that's so compelling. I will put it up on the back porch and I'll ask the members, leave your comment about this picture. Just make a little short comment and leave a detail. And I'll take all those details and I'll write a story about it. So I do this a couple times a year. This time, I posted the photograph and I said, leave your comments and let's have a competition. Let's let y'all write the story. And we have 8 submissions so far. It's very exciting.
oh, wow.
After the writer has to use, there's 2 categories. You use all of the comments that were left, and I don't know, it's maybe 20, 25, or you use most of the comments that were left, and it's 2 different categories. And so we have 4 and 4 so far. I'm really looking forward to reading the work of the people in the back porch. I'm
Hmm.
exciting because some of the folks aren't even don't even consider themselves writers. They just decided to throw in and do this. And I'm really that makes me happy that I've spent time building a community where people feel safe enough to just try it.
Hmm. I'm curious about the community. How did you actually build it? I've been trying to build a community for a while, and I tried different platforms, and I'm still struggling to
Yeah.
get engagement. So, what is your secret?
To be honest, it
Mm,
was a terrible struggle for me as well.
okay.
I worked with one publisher for a couple of years who published books 1 and 2, but then unfortunately went out of business, and so I had to find another publisher to re-release. But
Okay.
in the beginning, um, that publisher had said, you need a presence on social media," and at that time, it was really Facebook was the most logical one. This
Yeah.
2016. Um, so I started, and the recommendation that I got was, um, you need to kind of brand the look of your posts, so they should all be in, blue and yellow, which are the 2 colors of book 1, this kind of
Mm,
blue and yellow, and you should always have the cover of the book on the post, and so I not knowing anything about marketing or social media, I did that. I was focusing on pretty much the books until one of the members came up and said, "I'm leaving this page because all you ever do is post the same thing over and over." And it was a wake up call for me, like, wow, that is definitely not what people want.
mm,
So I spent some time with some folks in social media who are smarter than me, and we kind of worked up. Instead of a page, she invited me to start a group which is
mm.
interactive, and I think
Yeah.
it's really a key to it is finding a way to truly connect with the people that are in your group, and so instead of growing that number into the thousands, I think I probably have 800, 850, something like that members. And if we're being real about it, 50 or so are active. Like
Okay.
they do something once a week. Some of them do every day. Some of them read other people's comments and comments on those. Like some of the group members are super engaged. Um, but the key I found out was I sort of used the principle of thirds. I put a third of the posts about the book
Mm,
or development, how this character got a name, anything like that. A third of the posts are about me as a writer, what's coming up, what events are on the calendar, what is my process, those sorts of things. And the last third is about me as a person, which I think is probably the more entertaining part for people on
mm, mm,
stories, things my husband did that made me laugh, the dogs, any kind of thing that makes me a real person,
mm,
the group.
mm,
It makes us more like friends instead of just you're a group of people two-dimensionally watching me promote my books. It's way more interactive than that. I know people's life stories. I know when they're having, their kids are getting married or somebody graduated or somebody started school. Like it's much more in depth, I think. And when you can grow a group like that, I think it's magic because
hmm.
want to support you, they wanna throw in with you, and I've got folks I'm working real hard now to get, pre-orders for book 3, which comes out May 6th, but if I can get 300 pre-orders through barnesandnoble.com, then they will carry the books in the store, which
Oh, wow.
any Barnes& and Noble can order them in, that's fine, and not many, but a couple of them have because I've had signings there, but this would be all of the Barnes& and Nobles carrying my books, and so that is a pretty big leap for a small author like me.
Mm,
I've really been pushing pre-order, barnesandnoble.com, pre-order, and I've got friends on the back porch who are getting their friends to pre-order so that we can meet this goal, and it's really exciting to have that, amount of energy surrounding you and to really enjoy the people that are in the group. I think that when it's a group and it becomes interactive, it's not just people speeding through and say, "Oh, yeah, like." I mean, they are involved. They wanna be a part of the short story contest. They wanna
Hmm.
celebrate the things that we're celebrating, so that's how I've done it, and I don't know if I would say that I'm the best at it, but it's working so far, and the knowledge that it grows, glacially is important. It's like if I add 1 or 2 people a month, that's a lot, and just know that it'll grow at the rate that it's supposed to grow, and the key is to make people feel at home and make them feel welcome.
So how did you find these people? How did they find you, and how did
Well,
you recruit how did you recruit them?
the first people that you recruit always are your friends and family, right?
Correct. Yeah.
You strong arm them into, like, "You better become a
Yeah.
member of my group." So I certainly have some of those. I have cousins and, siblings, and, like, the family and the friends are there for
Okay.
as time grew, when I started, I've got some I they're the people that saw the book, and I'm not even sure how they saw it originally, when it was an ARC, when it was published with the first publisher. So
Mm.
that goes back a ways, and, they have a little band of them have stuck with me since that time, have gone through
Okay.
all iterations of my social media. I've branched out a little bit now. I'm on, Instagram. I just
Mhm.
started TikTok. I don't find it to be especially easy, but Book Talk is, one of the places, and so I've just started an account there. And these people, that little knot of people, kind of have been big, big supporters. So you've got friends and family, you've got the ones that found you early on, kind of discovered you, and then from there, it's a matter of every time I didn't bring any to show you, but every time I'm out and about, I have bookmarks. I carry a bag that has the cover of the book on it. And if anybody makes a comment about, "Oh, your purse, it's so interesting," I whip out that bookmark and I say, "Hey, my social media is on the back. I'd love for you to reach out to us and join the group." It's one person at a time, really. And you give 100 of those out, how many are actually going to find you? Less than
Mm.
10. but
Mm.
but it is slow, and then I noticed that the people that are in the group currently are inviting their friends and the people that they think will like the book and will enjoy the community, and so it starts to kind of become organic. It grows on its own, but I do take every opportunity to think of each person I pass on the street as a potential reader and a potential member of the back porch, and
Hmm.
that's just I'm constantly promoting it on that level.
So in terms of marketing, do you think that's what worked the best for you? The group?
Yeah. I think so. I don't I think, I'm not sure, but the authors that I know, are all required to kind of do their own marketing. I know
Mm.
plenty of self-published, authors who obviously are in charge of their own marketing. I'm working through a publisher, Morgan James, and, I'm really in charge of my own marketing. I am my own marketing department. I think
Mm.
back in the old days, um people would be signed by a big house, and the house would sort of take over how that, author was marketed. I don't know that that really plays well today. I think that a lot of the responsibility of doing that falls on the author, and so we're all trying to do it. We're all trying to find the best formula for it. I do enjoy signings. I do enjoy connecting with people and telling them about the book in person, having a
Mm.
conversation. I had a great conversation. There was a local bookstore called The Open Book in Warrenton, Virginia, and last night or the night before, they had a book club mingle. So all of the members of all of their book clubs came together and just had
Mm.
a little social, which was a lot of fun. I went and just mingled, and I met some people who I had an opportunity to talk to about the series. One person bought a book. I mean, it's that level of meeting people, I think, that gets you to that tipping point. I can't remember the
Mm.
author that wrote the book, The Tipping Point, but every
Malcolm Gladwell.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I think that is an important thing to always be looking for is how am I gonna make that tipping point happen? And for me, the most obvious way is really connecting individually with people and helping them to invite their communities to read the book, either through the book clubs or through their friends and family, or hey,
Mm,
Mother's Day is coming up. Why don't you give this to your mama for Mother's Day?
mm,
And
mm.
but marketing is tough. It is the hardest part of being an author.
I know. What other marketing stuff have you been doing? Because you said you spend like most of your time
Most of
promoting.
my time. Most of my time I spend marketing. I got the social media. TikTok has really taken a lot of time just because I don't understand it. When I'm sort of Facebook is really easy for me now.
Yeah.
Instagram is easier for me, but TikTok
Mm,
is new, and I sort of don't understand it, so it's been taking quite a bit of time, and of course, I joined it right at the time when it was gonna be shut down and, like, all that was going on, so I am spending time trying to understand how to weave, little video clips together to make a little video and
mm,
stuff like that. That's taking, a lot of time.
yeah.
What other marketing? Let me think for a second. What other marketing things, am I working on? A lot of, romance bookstores are opening up, I'm learning.
Mm,
That seems
okay.
a thing now that carry solely romance.
Oh, really? Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't
and
know that. Okay.
my book is romance, comedy, and mystery, but romance is the first one.
Yeah.
So, I've been reaching out to these stores, and they're independent bookstores. I can't I can't stress enough to authors, in my opinion, the importance of reaching out to indie bookstores and not just sending a form letter, but going to the store, introducing
Mm,
yourself, talking to the manager or the owner, buying a book from them, asking them how you can support them, like really bringing a cup of coffee to the owner. I think that when you connect on that level, that's really when one bookstore owner said, "I hand sell your books," meaning that when somebody comes in and he thinks that person is a candidate, he'll just go to the shelf and get my book and say, "Hey, have you read this author? It's right up
mhm,
your alley. You're going to enjoy this part of the story." So I think that making those connections, making time to visit independent bookstores is huge. I'm attending a new bookstore on Independent Bookstore Day. They've invited me to do a signing there. It's called Birch Tree Bookstore in Leesburg, Virginia.
mm,
Super excited. I haven't been yet. I hear great things about them, and I'm fairly local to them, so this will be an exciting time. But again, it's cultivating first those relationships and then maintaining them. I
hmm,
have, friends at Fred and June's bookstore in Mooresville, North Carolina, and I'm heading down there next week to Charlotte, but I will make a side trip to Mooresville to pop into Fred and June's and just say, "Hey." They were so gracious to me. They hosted a signing for me. They supported me at the, library in town. And I just want them to remember that I love them.
hmm.
So, making those connections with independent bookstores is huge in my opinion. It's very important.
Yeah. What about podcasting? Has it been like successful or like
Well,
did you get yeah.
I you know, it's new for me. It's kind of I'm certainly not, well versed enough to even understand how the hosts work it. And so, as I told you before we got started, finding podcasts that would be willing to talk to me was
Mm,
just a bear in the beginning until I found
mm, mm,
Podmatch, and then suddenly, it opened up a lot of doors for me because it really does it it really does. You can't just blast yourself out there. You've gotta really be specific of who you're approaching and, is this the kind of podcast that even is interested in talking to you about this? I've also learned that, um, in addition to podcasts about writing or reading or books, there are other things that I can talk about health. We had
mm,
we had the health scare in my family. I can talk
mm,
about diet. I can talk about, teaching as I was a special ed teacher. And so it doesn't always have to be about the book.
Mm,
I found out, and I'm trying to branch out a little bit in different directions just for diversity.
mm, mm,
Most podcasts are hosts are very gracious, and they all, mention, the author of this book, and so it still does give me a little bit of recognition in terms of my body of work. So that's useful as well. But I think that they don't all have to be about the book. I can have conversations about other things as well.
hmm. And how did you find your publisher? Morgan James, you said?
I did, yeah.
This is, you're probably the third or fourth author who's published by them who came on my podcast.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Wow, very
yeah,
cool. I think
yeah.
some of us are using Podmatch, more
Maybe,
regularly now, so
yeah, and yeah. It's like I
maybe
think
we're
four
available
authors.
for these, conversations. That is interesting.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with Morgan James. So when my first publisher went out of business, I it tragic is not the word, but the trauma of that is pretty significant in that
Mm,
I was working on the 3rd book in my series.
okay,
Dog is barking, I hope he's
that's
not.
fine.
Working on the 3rd book in my series, and books 1 and 2 were no longer available.
Oh,
So,
geez. Oh,
just
yeah.
like the gut punch of that, really was devastating. And I did not know what to do. It was hard for me to be creative and produce book 3 because I was so panicked about nobody's gonna buy it because you have to read them in order and
Mm,
it happen. And so actually a friend of mine, who knew of Morgan James connected me with them and it
mm,
fit. It turned out I did have to make an adjustment. Morgan James has a profanity guideline, and
mm,
books,
yeah,
as it turned out, had a lot of profanity in them.
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't bring the sample. I usually bring the one that's got all the sticky notes because I didn't think it had that many curse words.
yeah.
So I reread it myself and I tagged the page, and it was hundreds, probably
Oh,
of.
yeah.
So, I made the decision that I wanted to work with Morgan James, and I was gonna look at how I could edit the work and change the profanity. Of course, as a writer, don't censor me on this side, but publish my book on this side, which one is more important? And I really needed to be published. So I took a hard look at the story and decided that I could um, I could eliminate probably 50% of the curse words without even changing the meaning of the sentence.
Hmm.
It was just a habit more than anything else.
Yeah.
And so that I did. And then I had to look more carefully. There was another 25%. I could just kind of rearrange it a little bit. And then the last 25%, I actually had to work really hard to get the sentiment that I was trying to achieve through the one word. And I tell people all the time, it's a better story.
Mm,
Work is better because I put that energy into it to do it. I'm much happier, with it now, and going forward, I'm just aware of it, so now it doesn't even creep in at this point, but 1 and 2, I did have to really spend time purging. But
hmm.
yeah, I was introduced to Morgan James through another friend.
So you're gonna publish the third book in the series in May, correct?
Yes, it comes out May 6th.
And so if your role model is what's her name? Janet.
Janet Ivanovich.
Yeah, and she published 20 books in one
More than
series.
I think she's
So
on
that is that where you're going with the same characters, the same.
I would love to, be brassy enough to say that I am that good of a writer that I could pull that off, but I am not, confident enough to say that. I will keep going. The people who have read the book do seem to love it, and they want it to go on. I have people who are just like, more Lily," and
That's
everybody
nice.
has chosen their favorite characters, and, that's the messages I get back are from people saying, "I want more Miss Delphine. I want more Joe Turner," and so it feels like people are connecting with the characters, and it feels like they could, move the story forward for a couple more books for sure. I'm in book 4 right now, and, um, I because book 3 was during that period of unknown,
Mm,
the landscape of what's happening to the series, um, I ended up kind of writing in a lot of question marks that had to be answered in book 4, and as I'm trying to answer, like, put these things, make them full circle, I'm making even more problems for myself, so there may have to be a book 5 just because I'm creating it. I want people to be satisfied at the end of the series and say, "Yeah, everything was explained."
hmm,
As long as I'm able to say that, nothing was left to wonder. That's my goal is that everybody's satisfied with it. They might not like how it ended up, whichever particular part, but it did end up and they got a resolution to it and they feel comfortable with that. So probably a 5. I am kind of tinkering with another book idea in the back of my mind, but I'm not the kind of person that can read more than one book at a time, and I don't think I could work on writing more than one book at a time. So I'll probably need to finish Lily before I work on that one.
how many hours do you spend a day writing, if you write daily?
I don't write daily. I don't
Okay.
write daily. My the chunks of time, I don't even. I do kind of plan, but it's never hard and fast. If something happens and, "Oh, the pharmacy medication is in and it's gonna
Mm,
gotta pick it up today, and this is my writing day," I put that aside and I go to the pharmacy and get the medication. That's what I do. The part of me working from home and working on this job also means that I'm also managing like those kinds of tasks. And so I'm it's important to me that our family runs smoothly and I handle those kinds of tasks. It's only the two of us. We don't have any kids. So it's not
mm,
run into soccer games and things like that. Just the basic two-person household.
mm,
But I do that and I do the cooking and the take care of the dogs. Dogs go to the vet, those kinds of things. Um,
mm,
so I don't have, a daily schedule where I write. I know that's super successful for some people. I do like to look at the week and make sure that there's time in there to get to it, to get to writing. But, this week and last week, there's been very little writing. In fact, the one thing that I've done for the project is I've reread from chapter 1 through I've written 5 chapters. I've reread it. It's about 15,000 words, something like that, just to kind of recap it and be sure where I am, what I'm doing, that it's not loosey goosey, that it's making sense. Um, the other thing that I do when I write is I use these kind of wonky little phrases that the main character says all the time, and each one is different. And I keep a list of what she says so I don't repeat it. Now, when I started this book, sometimes I just throw myself into it and I'm writing, 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 and I just let it fly. But
mm,
5 chapters later, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I did not record any of those things on my list," and I'm really devoted to the idea that she's not gonna repeat herself. While I was doing that, I went back through and I picked out all the phrases and put them on my list. So those kinds of things are little administrative pieces. Last week, I had to put in the application for, the copyright of book 2. It's been out
mm,
for how many years? It was first published in 2019, and I did not submit the copyright for that. So just the administrative pieces
mm.
of that kind of creep in and take over writing time. But if I can write, 5 hours a week, I think that's a strong week. If I can write more than that, that's awesome.
Hmm. So before we conclude, what advice do you give to aspiring writers? What would you tell them?
The first thing, the very first thing is you got to start the story. You have to start it. I should have started my story 30 years ago. That's what I
Mm,
intended to do, and I put it off and I put it off. Now, granted, it would have been a different story. I think
mm,
as I aged and, changed myself, the voice of this character changed, and
mm,
that's fine, and this is who she was supposed to be. But, the fear of starting the project sometimes is so overwhelming that you never start the project. So,
mm,
it doesn't even have to be your greatest work, it just has to be your first work
mm,
to start. I think book 2 for me is better than book 1 because 84,000 words later, I practiced and I'm a better writer. So
Yeah.
the practice part of it is essential. A lot of writers I hear say you have to be an avid reader if you're going to be a good writer, and I don't believe that. I think that when you are a reader, it helps you understand how to use language and how to manipulate it for your own purposes. And that's great, and that's important. I'm a very slow reader. I churn through 5 or 6 books a year. I mean, I don't
Mm.
not a fast reader at all, so I don't think that's required to be an effective writer, but practicing the craft is definitely. And just my last little note is the critique partner. If
Mm.
you're out there and you wanna write and you don't have one, that is huge. I recommend everybody finding a critique partner because that's the person who's gonna hold you accountable as you go forward.
Who's your critique
I
partner?
have 2, actually. The first one that I worked with when my husband was sick, Lisa, she, was working from home at the time. She's also an author, and she set up a desk for me in her office at home, and I would go to her.
Oh.
When you talk about writing, I was writing 8 hours a day, 4 days a week at that time. And we would just go and I would spend the day, I would be on my desk, she's on her desk. And it's so incredible the power of it because she knows my story. She understands the voice of my story. She knows me as an author. And I would say, I can't work this scene out. This doesn't make sense. And we would sit and talk through it, which is how a lot of problems in book one were resolved. Um, Book two, I didn't have a critique partner. Book three, I have a critique partner, Leah, who is working on her first novel.
Mm.
And it's amazing. We meet on Fridays. We don't live in the same town. And so we have a standing appointment on Fridays. We call, we go over what she's doing, we connect first because we love each other as friends, but then we go over what she's doing, we go over what I'm doing. If either one of us is having a problem with the story, we focus on that. I told her, because it's her first one, I told her that my job is not to make her write something that I want to read. My job is to react to her writing as a reader would, and if I see something like, "Wow, I didn't this doesn't feel authentic to me," or "This doesn't, you left me hanging here," or whatever, I just point those things out, and then it's her job as the professional to fix it or decide that she wants to keep it the way it is.
So do you pay them or is it like just
I
a
I don't
friendship?
I don't know if anybody does do that. I do not. It's a mutual relationship, and you're available to each other. As I said, the first person I worked with was a close friend of mine for years
Mm.
before we started our critique partner relationship. And that was very helpful because we knew each other so well. And I knew the kinds of stories that she was writing, and she knew the kind that I was writing. She's the one, I give her credit. When I started, I was writing the story at two things. I was writing in first person from the main character's perspective, and I was writing it in the present tense. And she
Mm.
fought me on the first person, but I stuck to my guns. But to this day, I thank her for helping me understand that I should not be writing this story in the first person. To this day, I thank her for that.
Mm.
It's written, I'm sorry, in present tense. It's written in past tense, as most stories are. So the first person point of view, but in past tense. And I'm so grateful that I had a critique partner who was aware of that and could
Mm.
say, this is going to be hard for your reader to read because you're making it hard for your reader to read.
Mm.
So the answer is no. I haven't paid critique partners. I think when you go to that kind of relationship, it's more of an editor type of
Mm.
relationship where you pay the person. So I recommend finding a writing club, a writing workshop. There's that group, um, meetup.com, where you can
Mm.
who's writing around me, what clubs are writing, and
Mm.
start there, meeting people who are also writing and see if there's anybody who fits with you.
Yeah.
You gotta sort of interview them. It has to be the right fit.
Yeah.
You don't have to be writing the same genre, but you have to respect that person as a writer because they're gonna be guiding you. So if you don't think they're a good writer, then some of that may leak into what you're doing. So you really have to be sure that you're comfortable with your critique partner. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, this been wonderful, Carla, and I wish you the best of luck. And for anyone who's listening or watching, where can they find your books?
They're distributed through Ingram, so any bookstore can order them in. Any independent, I love it when people say they went to their independent bookstore and they ordered it in. That makes me so happy because you're supporting a small author and a small business at the same time.
Mm.
You can
Okay.
also get them through barnesandnoble.com, and as I said, I'm hopeful that people will pre-order book 3 at barnesandnoble.com because that's a big stepping stone for me.
Great. Well, this has been wonderful, Carla, and I wish you the best of luck. And for anyone who's listening or watching, thank you for joining us for another episode of Read and Write with Natasha. And until we meet again.